Welcome back to Growth Leaders, where we dive deep into the journeys of game-changing leaders. Today, we're thrilled to have someone who's not just shaping the future of learning and development, but is also a powerhouse of knowledge and inspiration. With over 15 years of experience, she's led global teams, aligned strategy with transformation, and built a pipeline of future leaders at SThree. She's chief member, a champion for diversity, and a dynamic force in elevating women in business. Please join me in welcoming the unstoppable Regina Dunning. Get ready for some incredible insights. Thank you so much for coming to the Growth Leaders show here.
Thank you for having me, Peter. I'm excited to be here.
Just before we start, could you just give a short, SThree is you can say a talent company, a recruitment of talent, maybe staffing, where you're into finding specialist resources and then guiding them to exciting organizations around the world. Is that a correct insight?
Yes, that
Okay,
is. We
good.
are a global STEM staffing company, and we specialize in placing niche talent in the IT, life sciences, and engineering sectors all over the world.
Perfect. And how many employees are you right now at SThree about?
So we're globally, we're around 5,000 employees globally, and obviously that's internal employees. We place several contractors and permanent employees with all of our customers all over as well.
And you have been around now for quite some time, and I know you're doing some really great things which I get fascinated about. But what has been your mantra for growth, your personal career growth?
Yes,
What's
I've
kept
been
you?
with our organization. I've been with our organization for about 3.5 years, but I've actually been in the staffing industry for around 17 years. And I always say I grew up in the industry. I think my mantra, starting my journey in sales, moving myself into a people leader role, and then into learning and development, is every conversation is a learning opportunity. This obviously helped me stay curious as a sales professional. It was something that allowed me to truly be a partner to my customers. It held true as a people leader so that I knew that I could really make sure that me and my teams were more as a collective than just as individuals on a team. And it's what ultimately drives me as a learning strategist too. I believe that the future of work is work that's going to require people and people skills to have a symbiotic relationship with technology. So let's make sure we're continuing to talk and have conversations and treat all of those conversations as learning opportunities.
And I guess the technology right now that's accelerating with the speed of light. How are you guys using AI into the learning side and development
Yes.
side?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, there are skills just last week that I'm having to develop myself in. It feels like there's something new every single day, even just from the fact that Chat GPT, we actually in our organization, we have a proprietary SThree Chat GPT that we can now use to help ourselves
Good.
just answer basic questions, allow ourselves to move faster, get information quicker, and help enable ourselves. So it's quite fascinating to see how fast. And there are other things that we know that are underway and are going to be entering into our organization from a tech standpoint here in the coming months too. That is really exciting for us.
Do you also see it as a potential mentor to the younger now, getting into an organization? Because I find that you really can fast track people into new assignments, and they don't really know, but as long as they learn how to put up questions in a good way and maybe different ways, they can just prompt really and then get really good guidance. Do you use that also about new employees coming aboard, that it's not only a physical mentor, but you actually here's a tool which is your digital mentor?
Yeah, it's a little bit of your assistant, right? So
Yeah.
if you are able to put the right plug the right prompts in, you can really help that technology learn what you need, and it'll be able to iterate and make sure that it's really helping you be the voice of you, and adapt to your needs. So I think it's going to be a little bit of both, right? You're going to be able to give it prompts. It's going to be able to understand what you're looking for and help you even further along the way. So there's going to be the special relationship where it's going to be that assistant for you in the future.
Yeah, I think so too. And we're also using it quite a lot right now, just, as a great soundboard. You don't have many people to talk to. Especially if you're sitting on the highest level, executive level, then you're pretty alone. I don't know if this is going to help them too, but maybe. So one of the things I remember when you and I had the intro call is the connection you really do well with is into the business strategy, into the executive management, and letting the L&D, learning and development, actually being part of that. So how are you reasoning around that? Because I know that's something a lot of companies wish they could and would, but not everyone is there. What is your thinking around it, and what's your advice around it to other L&D leaders?
Yes, I think L&D plays such a crucial role in the strategy of organizations. One, to help make sure our employees really understanding where the organization is going and how individuals can contribute to the future of the organization. What part are they playing? How can they tell that they're contributing and that they're a part of that winning team and that they have that contribution towards that greater purpose and that strategy? And it's been fun. And I think what we've noticed along the way too is it's okay at times to allow it to be iterative, right? It's okay for employees to take those risks, try them out, see, are they working, engage with their teams, especially from a leadership standpoint. Maybe it doesn't work. I've actually done that myself with my team where,
Yeah.
as an L&D team, I said, all right, let's be role models. Let's practice what we're preaching with our own team vision, how it ties to the organizational vision. What is our strategy? How do we contribute in? And I had put in this grand strategy and this 2024 organizational plan and all of our objectives. And I brought it to the team, and I could tell by the end of it that all the color of my team's faces just drained, and it was too much. I put too much out there. And so I had to go back and I had to engage with them. I had to let them come in and feel like they were a part of it. And they repurposed it and they made some changes. And it was about 3 months of a journey of us making slight tweaks and saying, okay, this wasn't working. We're not doing what we're supposed to. We're not accomplishing things. And we made some adjustments. And sure enough, they
Yeah.
gave feedback. They adjusted, and we said, this is iterative. It's okay. Let's pivot. Let's course correct. And actually now we're doing really, really well here. And I think that's one of the things too with leaders is you can learn to take risks with some of that stuff. And so those are all parts of the things that L&D can do to help contribute to that strategy and that strategic direction for organizations.
So how do you reason when you have, let's say now, 5,000 employees? There's individual journeys, there are team journeys, there are team and leadership journeys. I need to learn how to listen. Not everyone do that, and so on and so on. So, whatever, interviews or things like that. How do you reason? The individual, the team, more standard training, leadership training, for example, and then the company training. How do these mix together in your world
I think
or
you
in your
need to
mind?
have a red thread. A red thread or a
Okay.
golden thread, whatever you call it, between all of them, right? And for me, it's one of those things where it's a little bit of that connective tissue between it all to make sure that people are able to see that grand picture of how they are all playing together, because they have to work in unison with each other. And so being able to have that red thread, top down, bottom up, forward, backwards, whatever you want to look at it, they all are going to play into each other. And so if you can remain consistent, if you can remain communicative on it, and you can help have that connective tissue between all of it, you can see how all of those layers will tie to each other and have that nice little thread between all of them.
But in order to do that, I would believe you need quite a lot of buy-in from the organization, from departmental leaders, team leaders, etc. Because if you're not on the same journey, I bet that's a hard tie.
It
Or
is, yes, it is. And it's so important to be able to have that buy in right start from the CEO all the way through the C suite and at every single layer. So, yeah, it is important. Continue to have those conversations, continue to have them at all the same levels, and get that buy in all the way from the CEO and work your way through every single layer of the organization.
so if I ask now, I'm going to interview one of your employees. How would they describe you?
Oh, it's funny. I've actually asked them this too. It depends if you're going to ask them about it personally or from a leadership standpoint.
I want to
Leader
know
wise,
both. I want to know. So
energetic.
let's take, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
personally, energetic, full of energy. If you've ever heard of a psychometric assessment called Insights Discovery, I lead with yellow. I'm all about involve me, and I've got a lot of enthusiasm. But from a leadership standpoint, I've actually asked my team, hey, can you tell me what is my leadership style from your perspective? And I
Yeah.
promise you, I did not bribe them to give me these answers, but they have used words from their perspective, like I'm transparent, I'm authentic,
Good,
I'm
good.
democratic, I'm strategic, I'm transformational, I'm charismatic. And then one of the things that almost every single person on my team has said to me is I'm a coaching style leader. I really make
Yeah.
sure that I come in and I take that approach where I'm trying to coach the potential of them so that they
Mm,
can really bring their best foot forward in their role and their work. Um, and
yeah.
we have a great team, and it's always really fun. I think if you go to my team, everyone says they come excited to work. And it does help that I kind of come in naturally and I bring in a lot of energy. I can also be a little bit spastastic at times.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. So, but that means really, I mean, empowerment here is really important for you, and it sounds also that delegation comes into place fairly early. So, where have you had some tough moments where you realized, shit, maybe that wasn't my best decision? Or what was the learning lessons out of that? If you look back.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the toughest moments for me have probably been in my career. I started off in sales. And again, I've been in the staffing industry my life. So starting off my career in sales and in um, what's often been deemed a male dominated industry in staffing and then just
Mm,
sales in general. And I started off in a healthcare staffing company with a newer, rapidly growing organization at the time. I often had to take on trailblazing type of roles, so to speak, right? So I was trailblazing as one of the first female sales leaders. I was trailblazing as one of the first women in my organization to go on parental leave and return back to work. But then I actually started learning and development, the department for my former organization. And I also started the client experience department. So I was trailblazing new departments for them too. And I think for me, those were probably the toughest moments because while trailblazing
mm,
roles can be really exciting and you are able to sort of shape the future, and those can be challenging moments, right? Those can be moments where you start to question, what am I doing? Am I the right person? There's a lot of imposter syndrome moments that come along the way. Or you just hit walls and you're thinking to yourself, was this the right decision? But for me, one of the best things that I tried to do is just find other trailblazers. And they weren't always in the same path as me. They were
mm.
trailblazing other paths. But if I found other people that were doing that, I could at least talk to them and say, okay, have you hit this type of situation or something similar. What did you do? And I would just try and see, did they have any somewhat similar of experience? Could I take what they did? Could I take that experience and could I apply it to my situation? And that always really helped me, is being able to just talk to individuals, find out what might have worked for you or what didn't work. What would you have done differently? And could I apply that? And those were really great connections that I had.
But that's pretty strong of you, reaching out by yourself, because many times people do struggle. So when you come home in the evening, of course, you have three kids, but what do you do besides that? I mean, where do you get your own moments?
Yes.
How
My
do
kids,
you how do you what do you say, re-energize?
yes. My kids do keep me busy. They're super involved in sports and extracurricular activities. I love going on, actually, when I have the opportunity, lunchtime walks with my husband, Dave. A colleague of mine, she actually pointed it out to me. She said, when you write your book, Regina, can you call it Walks with Dave? Because all of
Yeah,
your
that's good.
ideas come from these walks that you have. So that's
Yeah.
definitely where I sort of refuel my tank. And then him and I, one of our guilty pleasures is binge watching the Great British Baking Show. We actually
Okay.
make it a competition. We each pick who we think is going to win, and we sort of bet against each other and say, all right, is the person that we picked actually going to make it the furthest in the show?
Do you make the baking yourself then afterwards too?
You know, I don't. I'm a cook. I like the
Uh,
creative, artistic side of it. But what I've noticed is my husband, anytime a new season airs, he's baking a loaf of bread or he's trying something new. He's
that's
the baker. He likes the science.
okay. Oh, that's wonderful. So I'm going to ask you also in the end here, before we go to some rapid fire questions, uh, how do you reason with budgets? Because the reason I'm asking that, it just came out a report, and actually by one of our partners, and they've done an analysis. And the analysis, which was a general piece earlier, is about, yeah, we invest about $1,000 per employee. But then what is $1,000? And then how do you reason? Because we can see both by industries, could be in the lower range, I mean, sub 500 and up to 200. And then in the tech industry, some it really goes up to $3,000 per employee. But then, of course, what you calculated into it, and then also what is your within SThree? How do you reason? Maybe you don't reason out of money, but there must be calculation anyhow.
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually we go by operating profit, and we do take a look at that. And luckily with SThree, we've been very making sure that we are prioritizing our employees and their employee value proposition, and saying that we want to make sure that we are reinvesting back into our employees. So what I'm proud to say is that actually if you go onto our website and you look at our 2023 annual report, you will see that we were able to, in 2023, reinvest 7.1% of our operating profit back into employee learning and development for our internal investment into the L&D budget. And that then allowed us as an L&D organization to come to the table, talk with our executive team, with all of our stakeholders, take a look at what was the organization's strategic priorities. How can we realign and make sure that we are really focusing on where we're going with our training to help support our employees and their development towards those strategic priorities. And so we were able to align all of our dollars towards those. And that equivalated to, I think, just over 40,000 of training hours, specifically to employee development within those strategic priorities, directly towards that 7.1% investment.
Okay, great. So just continue to make sure the business is running well, and then it all goes. Now,
Correct.
Regina, we're going to have some rapid fire questions to you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Good. If you had to give a TED Talk tomorrow, what's the one non-work related topic you would crush?
I mentioned I'm a mom of three, and we watch Disney movies all the time. So I think I could probably do a TED Talk on almost every single Disney movie ever made, because I believe I've watched all of them multiple times. I can give you recommendations, probably plot summaries, character names, and most likely even karaoke all of the top Disney songs.
That's great. Okay, which song would be the soundtrack of your leadership journey? Maybe we can find someone here in the Disney.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go
And then,
Disney on that. No, this song actually, it applies. It applies to leadership journey, but it's actually, I would say, the soundtrack to my life too. Leanne Womack's "I Hope You Dance," and I'll
okay,
give
fine.
the phrase, "If you had the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance."
What's the weirdest thing you have ever had to explain to someone at work?
How to not hit the reply all button when you're wanting to send a response to the original messenger.
Happy not to get all those. If you could time travel to any moment in your career, where would you go and what advice would you give yourself?
I'd go back to my first day on my very first job after graduation, because I remember it as if it were yesterday, and I remember how truly scared I was. I would tell myself, hey, trust how great you are. You're right. You are great. And then I would also tell myself, just remember to play where the puck is going and don't underestimate the power of small gains.
Great. Good insights. Thank you so much, Regina, being here on the Growth Leaders podcast show and sharing your moments, your experiences, your insights, and your motivation and engagement. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thanks.